What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more punk rock, and indeed, I'm going to react to, for the first time, one of my favorite bands ever. I mentioned Propagandhi because of my personal history. They were the first, like, real sort of, anarcho-punk band I was introduced to when I was a teenager at an ice hockey camp up in Canada. But when I came back over the next couple years, I started getting into a number of other bands, Bad Religion, Dead Kennedys, and indeed the Subhumans. And when I discovered the Subhumans, it was just this revelation of the gritty sort of like, I don't know if gutter punk is used in different ways, but to me it had this sort of like gritty sort of like, urban dystopia sort of sonic atmosphere. And then the lyrics were not only like in line with that, but very clever and like poetic. There's some like philosophy, but also like social commentary. And the more I learned about the band, and especially Dick Lucas, the singer, and I think the songwriter for the most part. I think there may be some songs that are written by multiple people in the band, but I do think he's the primary songwriter. I just became more and more impressed and amazed. But I will say the first thing I ever heard by them was EPLP. I don't know if you can see, I have the full like vinyl posters over here. I actually don't have the records anymore. Long story short, there was a point like years back where I was sort of in a tougher economic spot, and I had to sell some vinyl, and I sold some punk rock vinyl because like at the end of the day, like often I would just play the CD instead of going and getting the record, and then record gets some pops or surface noise, and then it's a little annoying to listen to in that format. But regardless, I do have the posters and whatever. I do want to mention I also went to a show. This show, I believe, and this picture was taken at the Showcase Theater in Corona, California, which it doesn't exist anymore, that venue, unfortunately. This was 2004. They played the same venue a year later, 2005. I went to that show. I have the ticket stub still somewhere. Amazing show. They played many of my favorite songs, including Not Me, the last track on EPLP. But yeah, bottom line, EPLP was the first thing I heard by them. And so I don't remember exactly when I got it. I want to say like 97, something like that. Obviously, well after, 15 years after they had made some of these, or in 16, I think some of the stuff on EPLP is from 81. But again, I was still like a young teenager trying to find my way and trying to find different bands that were sort of like following this like path and sort of ideas that I was interested in. So when I got this CD, the very first thing I heard, the very first song on the CD, which again is a compilation of like EPs and smaller releases they did before their like first studio album, is Parasites. So that's the track we're going to listen to. This is the first Subhumans I ever heard, so it feels appropriate to react to it first. Here we go. Subhumans, Parasites, at least in this context, from the EPLP. Instantly I was like, oh my god. Like, what? The continued relevance of the lyrics, right? Every line right there. I mean, it's crazy. Don't fight for me. What the hell are you fighting for? Labour can't fight, the business is over because they've got the workers' right, a choice to break democracy and their own parasites. Every single one of them. Build a demolition wall. What the hell are you fighting for? Not fighting for me. Hey, hey, hey. The whole time I'm thinking about it, what I loved immediately about the Subhuman sound, which still is one of my favorite things, is there's like sort of two different flavors to a lot of the guitar work they do. There's this real gritty sort of grinding, again, sort of like dystopian urban sort of sound, but then there's these like high sort of like almost psychedelic, like crazy guitar riffs that are like, they sound more, not like plucked, but they sound more, less gritty and less chordy. And so again, it's like really interesting when I'm listening to this tune, because like both of those sort of flavors are very clearly on display. And again, shout out to Dick for the lyrics. Not only his voice, I feel like, I remember my parents back in the day, they didn't mind that I was listening to punk rock, and but I remember my mom saying that, like, Dick Lucas's voice, she didn't use it by name, but she's like, oh, I don't like the singer's voice in this band. And she said the same thing about Jesse Michaels and Op Ivy, that like, yeah, I get like kind of the energy of the songs, and maybe I can't really tell a lot of what he's saying, but I get that you're interested in the ideas, but the voice, does it have to be? And I was like, does Bob Dylan have a great voice? Come on, man. But yeah, basically, I love Dick Lucas's voice. It has the gritty intensity and passion that Subhuman songs require. So yeah, it's exactly what it needs to be. And shout out to his songwriting. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's like plucked, but
gonna fly you into the old pieces, 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 little pieces, little pieces. Parasites, taking over the country. Parasites, taking over your home. Parasites, taking over your mind. It's drugs of youth.
Yeah, what an amazing tune. And yeah, Drugs of Youth, I believe, comes in next. You know how like when you get an album, or in this case it's sort of a compilation album, but when you sort of listen to it a lot and you cane the hell out of it, like you end up, the ending of one song immediately triggers the beginning of the next song in your brain's like playlist. You're just like, oh, that's what has to start now. Like, what? And then if it's someone else like put together a compilation CD with different bands or something, it's like very jarring. Like, wait, that's not what's supposed to come after that. But yeah, maybe I'll come back for Drugs of Youth, or, there's so many Subhuman songs I want to talk about. I mentioned Not Me is one of my favorite, and they played that when I saw them in Corona, I believe, in 2005, which again, when I got this album, Live in a Dive, not only was it super dope that like, hey, I saw them there. It wasn't that exact show, but I saw them at that same venue. But it was cool because like there were some tunes in the set list that's on this CD and record that they didn't play the year that I saw them. So it's kind of like I saw them play this same set but with a few different songs, and then I also have a CD of a different set from the same show, basically. So yeah, it's super dope. But like I said, just big ups to Dick Lucas and Subhumans. Been listening to them for now about 25 years. But again, they've been around for just about 40 years now. So indeed, like over 40 years. Like I said, I think the very earliest stuff is like 81. So yeah, just big ups to them for this just lifelong musical legacy that they've left us. And again, like right up into the present day. I think this is 2019. Isn't it 2019? Let me just check to make sure I got that right. But again, they are not only still relevant today, but they're still like speaking about issues of importance, political, cultural, social, right up into the present day. Holy crap, yeah, there's just so many. Live in Bristol, Eternal Riot, yeah, Crisis Point, 2019, again, just 3 years ago only. And my God, like, we're still sort of in that crisis point. In many ways, maybe it's worse. But yeah, bottom line, shout out to Dick Lucas for continuing to speak and sing and write lyrical poetry about the world. I'm here for it. And again, shout out to the other guys in the band. I know like the original lineup, I don't know if it's exactly the same. I think it's mostly the same, but yeah, it's Dick, Bruce on guitar, Grant on bass, Trotsky on drums, Again, I don't know the exact lineup right now as I say that. I should go look on Crisis Point, but I don't want to, like, you know, make you wait here while I go get the thing. And I don't really edit the videos. I just do this all like in one shot, like DIY. So yeah, bottom line, I'll come back for a track from Crisis Point. I really do like that album too. Internal Riot is great, but again, in some ways, maybe before I get to any of those, we got to do The Day the Country Died. After I got EPLP, the next thing I got was The Day the Country Died, and it just continued to cement that, oh my god, this is one of the best bands out there, like musically, lyrically, everything. So we're going to get to that. But yeah, let me know if you're here for Subhumans reactions or just punk rock reactions in general. As you can see, it has constituted one of the main musical threads in my life. I'm also a very big acid techno and like other electronic music person, but I will always be into punk rock till the day I die. And again, my interest in punk rock preceded my love of techno and other electronic music by at least like 3 years. So yeah, bottom line, it's always one of the most important and nostalgic things for me. And again, especially a band like Subhumans or Propagandhi, Bad Religion, you know, it's like, I just think back to my teenage years and I discovered this whole dimension of like thought and ideas and music that up until that point had just, you know, not been apparent to me. And not that I was listening to like, oh, just boring, you know, I listened to cool music when I was a little kid and even up until I discovered these things. But when I did discover them, it was like this whole new world that was just like, oh my god, I can't believe this. So yeah, like I said, give me a comment if you have more information about anything that I've said, any of these albums, or, you know, the current lineup of the band. Other than that, I would like to hear any requests. I don't have every single thing. I don't have the, what is it, Time Flies? I don't think I have the Time Flies. It's like a split, right? Isn't it a split? Maybe it's not a split, maybe it's just an EP, but yeah. Or maybe it is a full album. Either way, I don't have that one. But again, I have EPLP, I have The Day the Country Died, I have Live and Dive, I have Crisis Point, I have Internal Riot, so I got lots of Subhumans. So please, give me a shout if there's a particular song you want to hear. Other than that, have a good day, have a good night. I'll see you next time. Peace.